My name is Becca Isbell from the intern at the National Public Library. Today we're going to discuss the book I Am Malala by Mala by Yosafia with Patricia McCormick. And in the book, we will have some discussion questions. The discussion questions, there are different themes. The first theme is displacement. Displacement is when someone has to leave their home because of a crisis and or a life-threatening event. Mala left her home because of terrorism and the threat of the Taliban. The first question on displacement is, have you ever missed a place that you can never go back to? Describe this experience. To be honest, I never experienced a place I can never go back to because of danger, but there's a place that I know that I can never go back to, but I really want to. It's my grandma's old house. Like during a lot of childhood, I stayed over the summers, and to be honest, that her house is literally my dream house. Like, even though it's a simple 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, it brought a lot of memories. The next question is, how did the near-death experience change Mala? On page 156. I think it changed her because she kind of realized how important her life is, and that what she did made an impact on young girls, because she encouraged them to go to school, get educated despite the risk, and the fact that she keeps doing this, keep advocating for education, means a lot to young girls in the Middle East. Another theme in the book is fear. Where Mala grew up, there's fear of the Taliban, war, and terrorism. At some point of our lives, we all experience fear, although for most of it is on a much smaller scale. The first question about fear is the Mullah on page 44, and major life events such as 9/11 and the earthquakes caused Mala's community to become more extreme. With COVID-19 and our media, how has our culture has changed? Are there any similarity to Mala's experience? I think with COVID-19, I think there is a lot of misconception on information that is given, with the vaccines and the disease itself. And I think that caused a lot of fear, and when the wrong people are in charge of the media or are misinformed, it spreads a lot of misinformation and a lot of fear. It's same with the radio. There was a lot of fear and a lot of prejudice against women and getting their education, and I think that when people are stressed, I think it creates havoc in our society. And what are your thoughts about that? What do you think about that? And the second question of that theme is, Mala describes the differences between war and terrorism on page 64 to 65. Was there ever a event that made you feel anxious and panicky? Like, I think with COVID-19, like, the getting sick is, I feel like, is a much bigger deal than before the pandemic. I freak out every time I get like a runny nose, even if I'm pretty sure it's allergies. Like, I'm still sometimes debate, okay, so I take a COVID test or not. And that, I think that a lot of people are like now, like with the pandemic, I feel like they're more cautious their about their health. And what are your thoughts about like uh, mm, about times that you feel anxious? Mm. And the last question of the theme here is, if you were Mala's parents or friend, would you mm, would you tell her if you knew that she was going to school and advocate for women's education? What would you tell her if you knew she was going to school and advocating for women's education? Would you encourage her to keep doing it or try to limit her because of the threats? I think I would I would definitely encourage her. That's because I know that a lot of people on outside of her town and community will support her, and that education will bring more opportunities. At the same time, will be more cautious, like, okay, maybe not be out there, but but try to okay, just be more, I think, more mindful of her surroundings. What are your thoughts about that? Mm. And then a third theme is gender equality. Gender equality is when one gender has more privileges and advantages due to social norms, beliefs, and laws. Gender equality is, okay. The first question about gender equality is the kite metaphor on page 18 describes how women were like kites. When they were younger, they were able to dream, but in reality, is that their dreams would not be able to soar because of the gender norms. How does your gender sex affects your ambitions and dreams? I think as a woman, I think we like how society raised us is that we have, I feel like we have to choose between careers or raising a family. Like, I feel like if, and that is that everything that I do, I'll get judged on. Like, Taylor Swift says this like perfectly in one of her interviews. Like, she said that like, okay, if she says if I focus on her career, she's too ambitious. If she takes time, she's is lazy. I mean, not lazy, but like she will get judged more, and that like she have to always change it up, while her male counterparts, they could say the same and no one will complain. So I think being a woman is that you are going to get judged more critically, and we are under stress to like, okay, how do we keep going? How do we satisfy people, there's no way of satisfying them? And what are your thoughts? Like, how has being what gender you are, or sex you are, how does that influence your life? And I think that yeah. For the second question on gender equality is that school was forbidden for girls in Malala's community starting January 15, 2009. If you were Malala, would you try to get an education after that date? I think I would try to get an education that day. I might be not go straight to school. I would ask, like, if I had like older brothers or anyone who is school age or male, and male, I would ask like, hey, can I look at your homework after you're done? Or if there was a public library, I might like read on my own, like in the book Matilda by Roald Dahl. She went to her public library to learn a lot of stuff, and that what I would done, like, and also ask like any well-educated person, like ask them a lot of questions of what they are doing. Like if, let's say, if Mala had a scientist who was her neighbor, I will ask that person, like, ooh, what do you do for your job? Like, what are some fascinating books that you have in your house? And then the third and final question on gender equality is, what insights has this book given you about the Middle East and women's rights? I think it made me more aware of how limited women's rights are in the Middle East. Like, I knew that they were limited, but I did not know it was like really hard for them to get an education. That a lot of women, they rarely made it past elementary school, and that the Middle East, there's also like environmental things like earthquakes on top of the Taliban and Al Qaeda and a bunch of terrorist organizations, and that like and I think people don't realize that Islam is, for the most part, a peaceful religion. It does the terrorism who provide this conception of that religion. And what are your thoughts about that? Like, what do you learn about the Middle East and women's rights? A fourth theme is making a difference. Even in the worst circumstances, anyone can help improve their lives and other lives around them. The first question on making a difference is, in spite of the fact that Wazir Bhutto, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, so my apologies, the first female prime minister of Pakistan, was assassinated, Malala still found the courage to speak up for women's education. Think of a time you did something courageous despite the consequences. I remember I was in the Girl Scout camp and I was pressured to do something that I did not like. And I kind of sit my ground and say, I'm not doing this. I don't feel comfortable with that. And even though they got over that, I felt comfortable about myself. And I remember all the girls who saw that group of girls misbehaving, and saw me not following through with that. They compliment me on what I did, like not giving into peer pressure, which made me feel better about myself. And that and also like another thing is, on social media, a lot of things are like, I mean, in the current climate of what's been going on in the last like month or so, I wasn't comfortable about speaking my mind on social media, but I've been finding comfort in I find it more effective to speak my mind, because who knows if what happened in that, if I don't speak up, who will? And the final question on making a difference is, how did you make a difference? And I said that, and I just mentioned with social media that I've been speaking my mind more on certain issues, and I think I don't know if I directly make a difference, but I hope that someone who read my social media posts, even public or private, will I mean, either my private accounts or my public accounts, hopefully they will read and say, oh, thank you. Oh, this information that I needed. And that as a future librarian, I hope that I make a difference by helping people find the right sources, whether it's something in their personal lives or something, for example, if it's a personal genealogy, something in their family, or if it's something for a school project, I hope that gets help them out. And the final, okay. The final theme is about having the freedom to choose a career and have access to education. Career and education can be influenced by where we live, the social norms, one's interests, and the people around them, and other factors. For the first question of career and education is that Mala has some teachers, Miss Olfat, who encourage her and her classmates to learn and praise. How do you think having teachers and mentoring figures affect one learning? I think it could go both ways depending on the teacher. If you have a really negative teacher, you might be drawn away from that subject that you might have loved, and not do as well in your future career and education. But at the same time, if you have really good teachers, you'll be encouraged to go on that field. I remember in 6th grade, I had a social studies teacher named Mr. Atkins, who was spontaneous. He was super funny. And to be honest, at first I did not like social studies, and then I started to love social studies. And ever since I had him as a teacher, social studies was always my strongest subject in school. And that I was inspired to become a teacher because of him. Before I realized, eventually I realized that becoming a librarian is better suited for myself. Have you had what are some inspiring teachers and mentors figures you have in the past? And then the final question is, Mala's experience of being displaced and during the rigidity of a foreign television has influenced her career path. What life events have influenced your career path? I think that, to be honest, I am stuck with that question, because I think there are a lot of many factors that influence my career path as becoming a librarian. For example, the positive and negative experiences. I think that as undergrad, I started out as a education major, and then I switched to psychology, where I realized that I like studying people. And then I went to the daycare and realized, okay, I don't do well with a large group of kids, but I did like the lesson planning, which influenced, I would love to do library programming. And then like during the time between my undergraduate years and graduate years, because I took 6 years off from that. Yeah, it was 6 years, and I began to do like my own like research projects, like out of curiosity, like of mental illness, and then like, and I started to get passionate about like comic books, TV shows, like Arrow, Supergirl, The Flash, which kind of realized, oh, I love getting information, like, and then I also have that like the Facebook group Failing Resilience, where I literally just pass around information that I found on social media to help people about becoming more educated about different mental illness. So I think all those like things build up. That's like saying, okay, I like helping people with research, and I like getting the community together. So I think those experiences, like little things like that, influence others. For instance, like what life events have influenced your career paths. Like it could be professional experience or personal experience. Like it could be like it could be people in your lives could have impact on your career path. So yeah. And then here's some bonus questions to just think about. How is disability different in this book compared to Wonder? Which I think with Wonder, it was like I think that was like the main focal point. You know, he did not technically have a disability. It does his deformed face, but it became the focal point. With Mala is like, okay, you think about the events leading to her being shot, and you really don't think about her having this ability. You know, she had trouble like adjusting, like in the hospital. So like in a way, she had a disability, even if it was like temporarily. And then the second bonus question is, how would you feel if you became famous for surviving a traumatic event? I think I'd be like hesitant, like, okay, I have fame, but I'm not defined by the event. I would take advantage of that platform saying, okay, since people know me, I'm just going to use a voice for causes that I'm passionate about. And then the third bonus question is, Mala explains the history of her name. What is the history of your name? Like, I know I looked up the meaning of Becca millions of times, and to be honest, I keep forgetting the meaning of my name. But I know that my mom got my name from a TV show that she liked. So yeah. And the fourth bonus question is that, does fear influence any of your decisions? I think it does a little bit. Like for me, for example, like I have anxiety about driving, and that I'm hesitant to go on like busy roads. Like I haven't driven on any highways before, just because like those like fast cars intimidates me. Mala woke up in the hospital in England, far away from home. How would you feel in her situation? would you have the same concerns on page 140? I think I will definitely have the same concerns. Like, I think I would be scared and disoriented. Like, I'll be like, okay, what is happening? Where are my parents? Where are my family? Like, I think my first reaction is, okay, tell me what exactly happened. Get me a way to contact my family. I think, which is like pretty much what Malala's reaction was. In Malala's cultures, women covered themselves once they reached a certain age. Malala refused to cover her face on page 17 through 18. Was there a time that you defied a gender norm? How did other people feel about it? What did you learn about yourself? I think like it's for me, I feel like I did not go beyond the gender norms like in such a major impact as Malala, but I do like subtle things. Like, for example, I enjoy wearing makeup. I don't really wear not much makeup. Which I'm not sure why, but I know a lot of women, they would spend hours with their hair and makeup while like, okay, well, I'm pretty low maintenance. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to brush my hair and if it's like too messy, I'll put in a ponytail. Which I think and that I think like maybe when I was younger, maybe I was more cautious, more not cautious, but more insecure. And that I think as you get older, you become less secure and like say, okay, this is what I want to do. And you start to care less and the people, okay, who opinion matters to you get smaller as you get older. Like, okay, it may used to be the whole school, but now it does my close friends and family and people that I highly respect at work, like my boss and a few coworkers, for example. And then the last question is, which is also I think one of the themes of the picture book for Mala, is that a magic pencil is mentioned and a magical pencil that can help people. Mala's parents did not need a magic pencil as they were able to help people in need, such as providing them with food and education. Was there a time you helped someone in need? Describe that time. I think I remember, I can't think of anything at the moment, but I did remember in college, someone left their flash drive in one of the computer labs, and I was able to like, okay, I was able to like give it to like the security office on campus and say, hey, someone left their flash drive, and I think it made me feel really good about myself because flash drives are very important and it could have been a major project that they've been working months on and you never know. And I think that helping others not only helps themselves, but it makes you feel good about yourself. And I want to shout out to, like, I remember walking past a food pantry in Madison that did not only supply food, but some supplies that a lot of people need and need for a certain time, for certain periods of times. And like, I kept saying, yes, I wish that more people do that because those things have add up. And then with the technology piece, as you may seen in Leah's video, is that I want you to, on Canva, I want you to create something that I personally call a book snap. A book snap is literally, you take a picture of a book and then have a little blurb about a book. It could be your favorite quote. It can be a little, like a couple sentences of what the book is about, or it can be like what you enjoy about the book. I think I actually have something on a larger scale about that book. Let's see if I can get to it. Or I might see if I might have something on my phone. Let's see. Like, you may not be able to see it, but it's basically, it basically is like, you, as I said earlier, it does a book. You have a picture of the book. Let's tell, like, find your favorite quote. Either find your favorite quote, give or do a 2-sentence summary about the book, or tell us your favorite parts about the book, and send it to us. You could send it to me at isbellra@icloud.com. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Happy reading and enjoy your night.